Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday to you on this August 8th, 2025. I have all your stories for your rush hour ride home. Maybe the kids are back in school. Maybe there's a couple weeks left of summer. Hang on to it, folks. Let's enjoy this time. And in order to help get you home safely, these are the stories that I have today. We've got a former NFL player brandishing a weapon in a Starbucks parking lot, or drive-thru, I should say. We'll get into that. Plus, the judge in the Blake Lively case has ruled in favor of Blake Lively striking the deposition. What the hell does this mean? I'll explain it to you. They accuse Baldoni's side of abusing the court docket. And then we've also got a guest on Caller Daddy who has no idea who Joe Rogan is, which makes me feel really old when the younger generation's like, who's Oprah Winfrey? Joe Rogan's the Oprah Winfrey of podcasting. Under your chair, you don't get a car, you get some elk meat or whatever. And then we've got South Park, and we've got political officials crying about their portrayal on a cartoon. Hey, First Amendment right is still alive and well. That and how tariffs are affecting some U.S. manufacturers. So a lot to get into. All these stories and more starts right now on The Rush. And boy, talk about a final destination moment. Check this out. If there aren't enough ways to kill yourself on a cruise ship, this is Royal Caribbean, icon of the seas. The plexiglass broke on the slide. Imagine that. It's like you could die from diarrhea, falling off the boat, slipping at the pool, and now plunging to your death as you slip and slide down a faulty glass shard of a water slide. No thanks. And I'm all about that cruise life. You put some white linen pants on me, I will hang out on the cruise. Next thing you know, I got a captain's hat on. I'm all about it. But no longer will I be using a cruise slide. That's like using one of those tilt-a-whirls at the carnival. It's not that I don't trust the product, it's who put the product together. All right, I got Will Smith. It's been several years since his infamous slap. Here's an interesting aspect to the story you don't think of much, which is Will Smith and the people in his life that looked up to him. Here he is discussing what it felt like the night he decided to slap Chris Rock.
That was a horrific night, man. That was a horrific night.
To you?
For me, yeah.
I made all the real ones who understood, I'm going to stand up for my wife, whether I'm right or wrong in any place. So I understood that. I don't care what you say or nobody.
And by the way, that's the ego speaking, but what's the collateral damage of quote unquote standing up for your wife in front of everybody? The collateral damage is this was the biggest night of Will Smith's career, receiving an Oscar, and nobody even remembers that part.
Ain't make me think that anything you did was wrong.
Let me tell you one of the worst, because I was right there. And I get home, and my nephew, 9 years old, his name's Dom. He is the sweetest kid in the world. You know, him and my sister live with me. And we got these bean bags in the kitchen. I'm sitting in the kitchen, he's sitting between my legs, and he's holding the Oscar. And he goes, "Why you hit that man, Uncle Will?" And I was like, oh!
I mean, honestly, having a 15-month-old son now, the idea that I won't live up to, and no matter what, I won't live up to it, but the idea that I won't live up to the version of me that my son sees me as, I couldn't imagine the level of disappointment and shame that Will Smith has to live with from the people that expected better from him. What's the moral of the story? It's that we have an ego, and we all have a devil sitting on our shoulder, and every aspect and every move of our life, we need to remember, are we living up to the best version of ourselves or not? And you won't always do it. You'll always have to do something or say something or be somewhere that disappoints somebody else. And the question is, where do you go from there? I'm curious to see what happens to Will Smith in the next stage of his career. I personally don't want him canceled. I'm interested to see what he makes of this. It kind of relates to the Blake Lively stuff, which we'll be talking about, which is just this idea that you become famous so young, you have everyone take care of you, and they fluff you up and bloviate you, and they make you the worst version of yourself, the version that gets away with everything. And then it reaches this critical mass where you do something and you no longer get away with it, and then it brings you back down to reality. We call that flying too close to the sun. Now, did Blake Lively do that or not? Yet to be seen, but that's the accusation, that she sort of fabricated fabricated a lot of claims to commandeer the film. We'll get into all that in a few minutes. Here's one to talk about some humility for Joe Rogan. Here's Renee Rapp, who, by the way, I had to Google who that was. That just goes to show where I am culturally speaking. Like, I literally run a culture podcast and I still didn't know who she was. Here's Renee Rapp on the Call Her Daddy podcast, which is the female Joe Rogan, not knowing who Joe Rogan was.
What would you do if you were forced to have dinner with a straight white man whose personality revolved around Joe Rogan being his religion?
I need you to tell me something. Who the f*** is Joe Rogan? Because I saw I saw a TikTok using his name today, and I was like, what is that? And that was not the first time I'd heard this name, but I'm not sure who that is. He's not in Ocean's 11.
Who is it? Have you ever watched Fear Factor?
No.
Why
what's
Ocean's
that?
11?
Do you know what the UFC is?
What is this?
So
The
she's
UFC, like UFC fights? He's a fighter?
Well, I don't know. He has a podcast.
He's my height. I guess you don't have to be tall to be a fighter.
We're moving
Okay.
on.
All right,
Yeah.
there it is. No fact checking on Call Her Daddy. So a couple Gen Z, or I wonder is she Gen Z? Either way, whatever. That makes me feel old. All right, moving it along. Here, this is a good idea, folks. We have a new phone being developed that takes away all the toxicity of the phone. I'm here to tell you right now. I appreciate folks that follow me on my social medias and all that, but I'm here to tell you right now. We collectively are so addicted to our devices, we have no idea. It is the biggest threat to our happiness. I was FaceTiming with someone recently, and every single person in the room, aside from the person I was FaceTiming, was on their phones. Now you might say, Dave, well, you were FaceTiming, you were on your phone too. There's different levels of phone toxicity. The worst being doom scrolling. Just slowly sucking out all your dopamine, whatever you're looking at. That's the worst. You might say the addiction of buying things, that's bad too. But FaceTime, phone calls, that's the least of your problems. No one's like, I spent 9 hours on my phone FaceTiming, I feel like crap. It's like, no, you feel like crap because you watch too many TikToks.
And someone that you don't need the sexy phone.
The Light Phone is a super minimal cell phone designed to help you disconnect from distractions by only offering basic features like calls, texts, and a few simple tools. No social media, internet, or email.
You built a minimalist phone before minimalist phones were a thing. What was the original design philosophy when you were thinking about this product?
The Light Phone basically is designed to be used as little as possible. So it's a tool that can help you have that peace of mind, that you're reachable, that you can do some of these simple things that we've become accustomed to on our...
And by the way, this is the test of making it in life. When you no longer need a phone. That's the test. When you no longer need a phone. You're in the trenches, you're trying to, build up your TikTok account. It's tough. It's tough to have this perk and this privilege of not needing all of the things that come with a phone. But I like the idea of maybe during the weekend, you ditch your phone and you lock it away, and then you just have this, something that can get you where you need to go, a little, map quest, and pay your bills on it. All right, check this out. Wow, what a smear I received. I post my content. There's political topics, there's social topics. I got this comment from somebody. You should go walk down, and this I think was in reference to me talking about the issue I have with ICE, kind of like, masked people, ripping people off the streets. You should go walk down the city streets and see all of our veterans living in worse conditions in some of the American families that are homeless with little children. There's about 10 families just on one block that have 2-year-old children living on the streets. When was the last time you assisted Americans suffering? When was the last time you volunteered to help them? When have you been their voice? When have you shared the missing children in the U.S.? You don't even do any podcast offering support to people who are having a hard time. All you do is share false information. Boy, that's odd, right? Luckily, Amy came into my defense. Dave has fundraisers to help single moms every Christmas. He's helped people that need help with funds for a lawyer. He helps a lot of Americans. And I think the idea is this. As much as we like to help out individuals, and by the way, in the link in the description, you can donate to one of the teachers from our teachers wish list, right? We're trying to help teachers get the products they need to make their classrooms better. And, it's like a good thing to help, inspire the youth to, enjoy going to class and things like that. But I promote things that I like, social causes that are near and dear to me, like everyone getting access to healthcare, moms that have a baby not having to go back to work right away so they can not ruin that bond, like the things like food stamps if you fall on hard times. These are the policy things I'm talking about that would make the country a hell of a lot better. I have no idea what this person is talking about. It's just insane to me how I can be the worst version of what someone wants me to be. I don't care, whatever. The proof is in the pudding. We know what we're doing. On our Facebook page, Dave Neal's Community, which is free, by the way, we posted our teacher appreciation wish list. Gretchen said, thank you so much for those who donated to my wish list. Congrats, guys. That's you guys. Everyone pat yourself on the back. I am so touched by your generosity. I run a group called No Place for Hate at my school, and I can't wait to tell my committee about your kindness. These supplies will help us get a jump start on a positive, fun, and productive school year. Thank you, Dave, for being an advocate for educators, and thank you, Denise, for organizing the wish list. And of course, big shout out to Denise, our philanthropy chair, who does such a good job putting the wish list together. And by the way, if you like to see those comments, if you're one of the teachers who have received gifts, make sure to go on Dave Neal Community and share some of the positivity, because when we share the abundance, so much more comes in. But thanks again to everyone who's been a part of this. It's it's humbling. Our channel's grown a lot, so we have a lot of teachers that are in the community here, and we can't always fill everyone's wish list. But even if we can get 1 or 2 gifts to each of these teachers, that just really shows and inspires them to know that people are here rooting them on. Well, how about this? Terrell Suggs, footage came out of him. So I'm just going to share. This is Terrell Suggs in front, former football player, right? And he brandishes a weapon. Who knows what's going on here? They're at a Starbucks drive-thru. And so this guy gives him the old tap because he was reversing. And it goes on and on. But look at this moment. Terrell drives away, flicking this guy off. It's like, come on, you're at a Starbucks. What are you doing? Who can be upset at a Starbucks? And then he says, like, want to go? And at this moment, they blur it out. But look at Terrell Suggs brandishing a weapon. Oh, I lost it right there. Brandishing his gun right out the window, and it's like, what's that all about? So they have an update. Terrell Suggs' representative, Denise White, said in a statement, there was an incident at a Starbucks drive-thru in which Terrell attempted to safely back out of the lane when the individual behind him became hostile and falsely accused Terrell of making contact with his vehicle. The situation escalated when the individual exited his car and approached Terrell in a confrontational manner. Notably, the individual had not placed an order in the Starbucks line, which led Terrell to believe he might continue to follow him. At no point did Terrell point a firearm at the individual. He made it clear that he was prepared to protect himself. Arizona is an open carry state, and Terrell is aware of the responsibilities that come with firearm ownership. Well, it sounds like a bunch of BS to me. It's like, I don't think you're supposed to be waving your gun outside your driver's side window after leaving a Starbucks. I mean, how could Terrell Suggs feel threatened in this case? He was in front of the other car. All he has to do is drive away. So, not buying it. All right. Let's get to Blake Lively. This is a big story. Breaking news, folks. This just came out. The judge has ruled in a motion in this case. Now, in response to Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni's side cited one line from her deposition, and then they included in the exhibits of that line, they cited the entire deposition. Blake Lively's side wanted to strike that and say you shouldn't be allowed to share the deposition because it's irrelevant and you're just trying to share it for a smear campaign. And Baldoni's side responded, well, we filed it under seal, so we weren't even trying to share it publicly. Where is the truth here? Well, the judge has ruled this. The letter broadly asserts that there is no evidence the Wayfair parties, Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, or his firm have participated in a smear campaign against Lively. For support, this is what Brian Friedman said. For support, the letter quotes one fragment of one sentence from Lively's deposition. In the deposition, Lively testifies that she believes that the Wayfair parties have retaliated against her for reporting harassment by engaging in an ongoing smear campaign, but she appropriately refuses to reveal information disclosed to her in confidence by her counsel. The letter also includes as an attachment the entire uncertified 292-page transcription of Lively's deposition. Lively moves under federal court in the court's inherent power to strike the attachment on the grounds that there is no conceivable legal purpose to file the whole transcript. Now, the Wayfair parties have been accused of posting it for strategic media and public relations purposes. Lively contends the Wayfair parties have done so in order to advance a false narrative that Miss Lively is afraid of her deposition testimony becoming public, which is entirely untrue. The court agrees that inclusion of the entire deposition transcript served no proper purpose and accordingly grants the motion to strike. Big win for Blake Lively. Now, my question is this. Why is Blake Lively trying to strike the deposition and say, we're okay with it being public? Well, in that case, why strike it in the first place? So I don't understand what they're doing to delay the deposition coming out. Like, the deposition is going to come out one way or another as long as this court case goes on, right? The Wayfair party's attachment of the entire nearly 300-page deposition, after citing only 2 pages of it in the letter, served no proper litigation purpose and instead appears to have been intended to burden Lively and to invite public speculation and scandal. The Wayfair parties have not even attempted to argue that the entire deposition was relevant, nor could they. The conclusion is inescapable that the Wayfair parties filed gratuitous amounts of irrelevant pages so that if Lively moved for continued sealing of the irrelevant pages, the Wayfair parties could then use Lively's response for their own public relations purposes. The court has not only the power, but also the responsibility to step in. Again, wild stuff. And now this is like 3D chess by both sides. Wayfair did post the deposition, probably knowing it would be really juicy. But again, what's the point of doing the deposition if the public can't know what was said? Like, Blake Lively is the plaintiff here, right? Doesn't she want her voice to be heard? It says the Wayfair party's action follows a pattern of using filing on the docket as an opportunity to litigate this case in the press rather than in court. The court has already stricken from the record prior filings made by the Wayfair parties for the improper purpose of inviting a press uproar. The court has likewise disregarded as improper attachments to other filings. Given that there could have been no proper reason for the Wayfair parties to have filed an entire transcript when only a few lines were even arguably relevant, Lively has demonstrated that the Wayfair parties have abused this court's docket. Finally, the Wayfair parties explained that it is routine for the court to consider deposition testimony in connection with discovery disputes. It is not routine, however, for parties to attach an entire confidential deposition transcript when citing only limited portions of that transcript involving only a few lines of text in order to put the other side and the court to the burden of justifying continuing sealing. So again, I don't know. Where are my lawyer friends at? Can someone let me know? Is this normal to attach a full deposition? Lively's motion to strike the attachment is granted. Boom! Shakalaka. Wild stuff. Wild stuff. I mean, the judge here, and again, I don't know, is this normal? The judge here sort of taking it upon himself to illustrate his opinion, and I guess his opinion's all that matters here, right? He's the judge, that the Wayfair parties are abusing the system. Right? I mean, literally, how? And this is what this whole kind of case is all about. So in that regard, the test is whether the Wayfair party's filing itself was abusive. So he's literally saying that they abused the court's docket. That's a pretty, I mean, this ruling in itself will be huge for the Lively parties and for their PR. I guarantee this is going to be headline gathering news. Now, does it mean much? Well, in the end, the question remains, is the judge impartial? Is he able to, judge this in a way that's not giving one side more benefit than the other? I honestly have no idea. But you've seen people like Perez Hilton and others call the judge out. And if they don't get the ruling they want, you could understand if the Baldoni side wants to appeal this, just because it does feel one-sided. But again, I don't know too much. Let me know. I got a lot of lawyers out there. Coming up next, after we take a quick break, I've got the second South Park episode that has ruffled feathers with the Department of Homeland Security's Kristi Noem. She's upset at the way they portrayed her. I'm going to share that and an update on how tariffs are affecting American manufacturers. All this coming next.